A police siren flashes. A black teen stands on the sidewalk, hands raised, scared but calm. The officer steps out, full of arrogance, already assuming guilt. The cop snaps. The teen replies softly, "You're making a mistake, sir." But the officer ignores him, not knowing the truth that will end his career. It was supposed to be a normal Tuesday afternoon in downtown Chicago. People were walking, traffic was heavy, and the sky looked calm. But all of that changed in seconds when Officer Brad Thompson pulled his police cruiser sharply to the curb, almost hitting the sidewalk. A young black teen, Marcus Hill, 17 years old, was simply standing near a bus stop, earphones in, backpack on. Nothing unusual, nothing suspicious. But Officer Brad's eyes locked onto him like he had already decided something. He stepped out of the car, with the attitude of someone who believed he owned the street. "Hey, you!" he barked. Marcus pulled out one earphone, confused. "Yes, sir." "Hands where I can see them. Now!" People around stopped and stared. A few pulled out their phones. Marcus lifted his hands slowly. "What did I do?" Brad smirked. "You fit the description of a suspect. Dark hoodie, black male, age range. That's all I need." Marcus swallowed hard. "Sir, I'm just waiting for the bus. I didn't do anything." But Officer Brad didn't care. He grabbed Marcus's backpack aggressively, unzipped it, and dumped everything onto the sidewalk. Books, a laptop, a water bottle. People started whispering. One woman said, "He looks like a school kid." Another man muttered, "That cop always does this." Marcus kept calm, even though his heart raced. He had been taught his entire life. Stay calm, stay respectful, stay alive. Officer Brad checked Marcus's ID and laughed when he saw the address. "Oh, you're from Riverside Heights? You don't look like you belong there." Marcus looked down, staying silent. Brad radioed something under his breath, then snapped, "Turn around. Hands behind your back. You're being detained." Marcus froze. "Sir, please, you're making a huge mistake." Brad grinned. "No mistake. Kids like you always lie." He pulled out the handcuffs. And then Marcus said something softly, something Brad ignored but shouldn't have. "I really think you should call your chief before you do this." Brad laughed loudly. "Oh, really? And why's that?" Marcus didn't answer. He just looked him straight in the eyes, calm, confident, and strangely fearless. That bothered Brad. Why wasn't this kid scared? Why was he so sure? Brad cuffed him anyway and pushed his head into the police cruiser. Phones recorded everything. The crowd grew larger. A woman stepped forward. "He didn't do anything." "This is racial profiling," Brad yelled back. "Stay out of police work." But the tension grew thicker. Marcus sat silently in the back seat, staring out the window, almost like he knew what was coming next. Almost like he knew Officer Brad just ruined something far bigger than a normal arrest. Then Marcus whispered a single sentence under his breath. "My dad is going to destroy your badge for this." And he wasn't lying, not even close. Because Officer Brad had no idea who Marcus really was, and in the next few minutes, his entire life was about to collapse. When Officer Miller falls to the ground, his flashlight skids across the floor. Everyone watches in shock. But Eric, the black teenager everyone underestimated, rushes forward first. "Sir, can you hear me?" Eric says quickly, his voice calm, full of responsibility. The hushed crowd whispers, "That's the same kid who caught everything." The police were looking at him with shaky eyes. But Eric didn't care. Officer Miller was struggling to breathe, and his inhaler had fallen from his belt. Without thinking twice, Eric grabs the inhaler as if every step had already played out in his mind like a series of pictures. "A deep breath, sir. Slow. Just follow my count," Eric instructs softly. The other officers are confused. Moments ago, they had been suspicious of this boy. Now, he was the one trying to save the life of their colleague. Officer Miller's breathing slowly begins to normalize. Captain Harris, eyes wide, says, How did you know exactly what to do?" Eric smiles faintly. "Sir, I volunteer at a community health program. I've trained for emergency responses." He pauses and adds, "And I pay attention." even when people think I don't belong somewhere." His words bring a sudden silence over the crowd. Officer Miller carefully sits up and grabs Eric's hand. "Son, I owe you an apology. I misjudged you. Completely." "Oh," someone in the crowd whispers, like a hashtag in the air, "our respect has no color." Harris straightens his cap and says, "You saved a police officer's life today. We were wrong about you." Eric gives a small, confident nod. "Sometimes people don't see who you are. They only see what they expect." His words sink in. Some in the crowd begin clapping quietly. Officer Miller rests a hand on his shoulder. "From today, we see you clearly." The black teenager stands there, surrounded by grateful and respectful police officers, a moment that breaks stereotypes, without shouting, without blame, just action. But this time, people see him differently. Not suspicious, not doubtful, but with respect. Like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful racism, real stories.